Very first time I saw my two sons fighting each other. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
They were ready to kill each other. They were probably 8 and 9 at the time, maybe even a little bit younger. They're 16 months apart. And they'd always, had little fights here and there, but this was like, it got wildly physical. They were like animals that we couldn't, I had to literally physically get in there and rip them apart from each other and sit them down. And their faces were absolutely beet red from the rage and the aggression. And then they were almost like holding back tears. They were like little man-childs, I call them, right? They were like the aggression of the man, but the face of a boy. What I saw in them was actually an element of shame over how they felt. And they were like, Dad, you don't understand. You don't understand. I wanted to kill him. And it was the first time they had ever experienced that rage that you probably remember as a teenager. I certainly remember as a teenager, where you just have this, what seems like unstoppable rage. And it was their first moment of experiencing that. And you could see the shame start to flood in of like, oh shit, I know this isn't good. I shouldn't want to murder my brother. And he's like, Dad, you don't understand. I want to kill him. And his other brother said, Dad, you don't understand. I want to kill him too. And I think they were thinking I was going to get them in trouble. And instead I flipped it around and I just said, boys, I just want you to know right now in this moment, I am not at all upset or mad at how you guys feel. And they almost like sat back and they're like, what? I said, I'm not mad at the feelings that you have. You're not in trouble for feeling this way. And then I said, I want you to understand why. And I don't know if you remember what I said, but I turned to them and I said, I want to ask you guys a question. I said, if your baby sister, little baby Coco, I said, if you were out hiking with her in our forest here and a coyote came and grabbed her, what would you do? Like, we would chase that coyote, like to get your sister. Like, what if you got tired? Like, it doesn't matter. We'd keep running. We'd keep running. We'd keep running. Like, what would you do when you caught up to that coyote who was holding your little baby sister and grabbed it? Like, we would do whatever it takes to save our sister and get her away from that coyote. And I said, exactly. I said, this rage that you have in you right now is the universe's gift to you. And I said, and it's for situations like that. I am so happy that you guys have this feeling. I am so glad you have it. And they were like, what? Right? And then I said, now my job as your father is to teach you guys how to be able to channel this in the right direction. I said, because the men who are controlled by this rage will end up divorced, unemployed, and in prison. And the men who know how to control it and optimize it and channel it in the right direction will become highly successful.